Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Felipe and Austin, and you're listening to the Total Bases podcast. And with me, as always, is Sean Flannery. Sean, how you doing this morning?
What is up, guys? It is great. We got the gang back together. The gang's back together. It's a Sunday morning.
It's a Sunday morning. Come down.
Oh, okay. And he's gonna say it live too. Okay. Yeah. And so I'll just happy to be back. Happy to have everyone back. And Felipe, we'll throw it back to you.
Oh, no, my other co-host, Austin Spiro. Austin, how you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I was telling Sean offline there. It seems like it's been 2 months since I've been on here. So, it's been pretty good.
It feels kind of odd to now I got to wake up on Sunday morning to do this show as opposed to just waking up on Sunday morning to see what the hell my baby wants. But
I almost didn't set my alarm, to be honest.
Yeah, I had to remind myself to set my alarm just in case the baby decided to sleep in last night. But no, she woke up before the alarm did. So, so she's the most dependable alarm I have. But we are back to talk some baseball. Good job, Sean, on carrying the load last week with Jacob. Very interesting program. Recapping the Baseball Life League. I want. Yeah, you guys were talking about my team, and I just I hate my team. They're so full of underperformers. I said to myself. He started naming guys like, what was it, Jose Quintana, and well, it's not by choice that I want Jose Quintana. My rotation is. I have so many injuries. I have no more IL slots for them. I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, I've been kind of thinking that maybe going into next year, maybe we can bump it to like 5 IL slots. Just two more.
Too much. That's too much. I mean, the waiver wire is already depleted as it is. But anyway, yeah. And I think I told you guys, I think one of my favorite moments from listening to other fantasy podcasts was listening to Scott White, which is a guy I've been kind of respecting and admiring from afar for a while now, long time. I'm a big fan of his writing and a big fan of what he has to say about the fantasy baseball landscape in general. And they asked him to pick a word that best describes this fantasy baseball season. And he said, frustrating. Like, oh my God, I felt that to my core. Like, somebody understands my plight here. So, well, let's do that activity. Austin, let's start with you. Pick a word that best describes your fantasy baseball year so far this year.
Confusing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe Frank Stamkos. Who's the other guy? Chris Towers. I think Chris Towers used that same word too. So it was frustratingly confusing for sure. Sean, let's go with you now.
I'm gonna go. I know this sounds terrible, but unlucky, because in multiple leagues, if you look in like standings in my points leagues, I'm somewhere in like the top 2 or 3 in total points. But it's a head-to-head league, and everybody else that is top 5 in total points is either undefeated or has like 1 or 2 loss, and I'm sitting here at 5 and 3. And then, as you've shown in Baseball Life, and I think in our little Baseball Life League chat, if you break down the Baseball Life League in terms of just like pure roto stats, I'm like number 2, number 3, something like that. But I'm barely hovering at 500, and it's like I trust my process, not to like make any puns there, but it's like when the results aren't showing, you're like, come on, like when do you realize you got to do something else?
Well, I mean,
it's just kind of unlucky so far in my 2 biggest leagues.
Yeah, it's a great process, poor results. I mean, we all can't just, be having horseshoes up our butts and shit. So, get our players get hot for no reason. But, Austin, as you'll see, regression works both ways. So that's it's a long game. But Austin and I did the same thing for the. I'll explain it, and then I'll cede the floor to you, Austin. We did ESPN doesn't let us do that. It doesn't automatically do that, I should say, but ours is a categories league, so we manually had to rank all of our teams from by each category. And also, what was your findings?
Oh yeah, so my findings were essentially Felipe and I were the 2 best teams in the league, in the total bases league, but yet I think 1 or 2 games above 500, and Felipe was 1 game below 500.
I'm 3 and 5, man. I'm 3 and 5.
Yeah, like I think I lead in like 80% of the offensive categories, and like I don't understand what's going on. It's just so frustrating. Like I lead in average and on base percentage and stolen base. I think the only thing that I don't lead in is home runs and total bases. I think that's
me.
it.
I was leading in home runs when we did this exercise, and
Yeah, it was either Felipe or I leading in any of the offensive categories, and then Felipe and I were both in the top 4 or 5 in most of the pitching categories. So, yeah,
but you know, you're seeing we're being told that you know, certain players are. I'm not gonna mention any names. I'm not gonna mention that's not the format for this, but you know, I'm being with a straight face being told that me having guys like Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, Alex Bregman, Aaron Judge, not as good as some of these waiver wire fodder players that these people pick up and shit. So I don't know, man. It is what it is. But you know, like I told you, Austin and Sean, you were there too. Regression works both ways. So
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for that big boom, and then I don't want to hear from anybody else. I want you guys to keep that same energy when my team goes on a 5-game winning streak, or a 7-game winning streak, or a 9-game winning streak. Sean, you know, I mean, last year I won 30 games in our league. No one has ever done that before. But, of course, I know it don't mean a thing without a ring, right? So
Yeah, I wasn't gonna say that.
I understand, but it's still something to be proud of. I'm proud of it. I mean, shit, not every team wins 70 games in an NBA season, right? So
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe what's his name, James, who will be with me at the end of the month to help me host this show. He's number 1 in the league right now in the Baseball Life League. So maybe
in standings and points. If it were Roto, I mean, his team's looking great, and he just made a move. I'm not sure if you saw that trade.
Yeah,
that went through. So should be interesting to see how he tries to hold on to the top spot.
Yeah, I mean, you got to make moves, man. That's the name of the game. You got to make moves to solidify your lineup and all that. And who knows? Maybe he might break my record this year. We'll see. Yeah. All right. So another thing I wanted to talk about. Yes, Sean, when on break or before the show started, we did go to a minor league game. It was a Baseball Life meetup with a bunch of us. Jonathan, Ricky showing up. Jonathan again showing up. Who else? Joey Buckles of the Baseball Utopia group also showed up. Allie, Maurice, I'm trying not to forget any names. And Tony, who I find out is a neighbor of mine, Tony Leva. He's a neighbor of mine. I did not know that. He lives not too far from me. So I don't know where exactly he lives, but I know that he lives within the vicinity. And we went to see a minor league game, right? The Chicago Dogs versus the Kansas City Monarchs. I believe it's an American Association game. So it's an independent league, I believe it was. Yeah. So no affiliations. A lot of well, I don't want to call them old-timey players, but a lot of names in the past. I mentioned Matt Adams, who's still playing, and Casey Gillespie was on.
Oh no, that's a name we don't talk about. No,
why not?
Oh, that is the guy who hit the home run in the 2016 wild card game against Jairus Familia. Familia had given up, I think, 2 home runs the entire year, and then in the top of the 9th inning, gave up that home run to freaking Connor Gillespie, who I think had 6
I'm talking about his brother. Casey.
What? Maybe it was Casey. No, Casey was the older one, right?
I don't remember. I know
Casey's got to be pretty old by now.
Connor was with the White Sox. I know that much. But yeah. Casey hit a home run too last night, and as the Monarchs defeated the Dogs 10-2. But there was Pete Cosma there as well, and then Charlie Tilson was the Chicago Dogs leadoff hitter who. He's still pretty.
Yeah, I'll say Charlie Tilson. That was a big speed guy. I remember him.
Still fast, man. He's still fast for the independent leagues. But the big name that I was really excited, I had to bite my lip and stop myself from going full cheerleader for this guy. None other than Gabriel Guerrero. That's right, Vladdy's nephew, Vladdy Jr.'s cousin.
I'll say it was the one that was supposed to be real big a while ago. And
this is from 2013, man. 2013.
Wait, that's like 10 years.
Yeah, he was not for the Mariners. I mean, he was mid-tier prospect for them. High upside guy, toolsy guy. Had a lot of work to be done, but obviously the name speaks volumes. He's baseball pedigree, family royalty there. His Wilton Guerrero. I forgot if he's how he's related to Wilton, but I mean it's a family of baseball players, right?
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be the toolsy guy. Yeah. And he just never made it. I don't know what it was. I mean, I the last time I saw him before this game, I saw him play against the Savannah Bananas, and he struck out. I don't know, if that was set up on purpose or not. But Gabby had a pretty damn good game last night too. On Fridays, I should say, Friday night he did. And apparently Jonathan's letting me know that he hit a bomb last night when he went back to it to the baseball park on Saturday night.
Interesting.
And he almost hit the scoreboard apparently. So
No.
so no, Gabby, I was excited. I was really fanboying over the guy. So because I mean he's a guy I wrote about back in 2013. Yeah. So and Matt Adams too. So it was pretty cool to see guys who I used to write about who didn't have prosperous long major league games, but they're still playing and they're still crushing it. So good for them. All right, that's enough. And yeah, the lesson is go watch more minor league, more independent games. It doesn't have to be all Major League Baseball all the time. So just you never know what you'll see.
And it's still just as fun.
It's so fun. It is super fun, man. I mean, I know Austin goes to a lot. You go see the 66ers, right?
Yep, 66ers. That's always it's always a fun time. I love going to see this.
Who was the player that you recognized from? Like, hey, I remember this guy. I didn't know he was still playing.
There have been a few. I mean, I saw a Mike Trout rehab game when I was there.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen like any former major leaguers, but like there was when I was there when Vernon Wells was rehabbing for the Angels. You know, there's been a few, and then I just went and saw Rancho Cucamonga Quakes a few weeks ago, which is Dodgers, and you know, so we saw a few prospects there. Jordan Lawler was there, and you know, so you know, it's cool. You get to see some prospects, but then sometimes you run into older major leaguers. But I haven't run into one where you're like, oh, I remember that guy, but you know, they're usually on like rehab assignments or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like Robinson Cano re-signing a minor league deal with the Padres. Did you guys see that? And then in his first AAA game, they were having a Nickelodeon night. And so Robinson Cano out there rocking a SpongeBob jersey in AAA at 39 years old or whatever the hell he is.
Hey man,
and I'm just like that. That is just like he's just gaming down there. He's like, whatever. I'm gonna come down here. I'm gonna hit baseballs.
I think I would look at that jersey and I'd be like, yeah, it's time to retire. I'm done.
I don't know, man. I'm telling you, some of the guys that were there that I saw Friday night, I know that they were all at on the major league level at one point, but from my vantage point, it looks like they were having fun and they were really competing. Gabby Guerrero was getting pissed off at one of our pitchers because he couldn't figure out what the signs were, and he you can feel the frustration. Like, come on, man, I want to smash already. But they look like, I mean, I was looking at the Monarchs dugout, and they look like they were having fun, man. It helps when you're beating the crap out of another team 10-2. But
yeah, and
of course I don't have to explain this to Sean. Sean used to work for the Montgomery Biscuits, so I'm pretty sure he's seen his fair share of minor league players and all that. So
yeah.
All right, let's move on to major league players. It's the All-Star game. I believe the ballots are out. I've noticed people are bragging about their ballots. So I say, let's brag about our ballots, goddammit. And I'm going to start because I haven't been here in a while. Took 2 weeks off. It feels like I've been out forever too. All right, well, here's my ballot. At catcher, it's Wilson Contreras. At first base, it's Matt Olson. Second base, Trey Turner. Shortstop, Xander Bogaerts. Third base, Rafael Devers. Outfield, Aaron Judge. Outfield, Jordan Alvarez. Outfielder, Julio Rodriguez. And my designated hitter is Bo Bichette. I told the guys we should just do three starting pitchers, 2 relief pitchers, because we don't have control of that. We don't have a say in that. That's a managerial thing. So figure, get 5 pitchers in, 3 and 2. So my starting pitchers are Joe Musgrove, Shane McClanahan, Logan Gilbert, and my relievers are Clay Holmes, David Bednar. You two should notice by now that there was a method to this madness. I'm only picking players who are on my fantasy teams to go to the All-Star game. Screw everybody else. Screw results. Screw production. I want to see my guys who are helping me have a combined winning record this year. I want to see them on television at the All-Star game. That's my All-Star lineup. I'm going to vote for them as much as I can. And boo-hoo if your favorite players don't get in.
Just an easy boo-hoo. That's what it is.
Yeah, well, hey, seeing grown men cry always brings me so much joy and glee. These tough, I like baseball. Yeah, I love baseball. But why are you talking shit about my favorite players? Why are you making fun of my fantasy team? I have feelings all of a sudden. Okay, guys. Anyway, Austin, you have a ballot for us?
I do. I was wondering why or how you finished yours so quickly, and I figured out why. It's because I did double the work. I did AL and NL.
I should have. So anyway,
Also, I
those are
was
the
like,
guys I
wow,
wanna
that
see.
was that was fast.
Yeah, it was like, dang, he did that fast. How did he do that?
Well, we got other players to talk about. So you know what? We got all these players to talk about. So see if you can just pick the best names of the two leagues. And
let's see. At catcher, the one that the better one that I have is Wilson Contreras. First base, I'm sure we'll talk about one of mine in the show, but so I'll go with the other one, Paul Goldschmidt. Second base, I have Jose Altuve. Third base is this one's tough. I'm gonna do Manny Machado. Shortstop, I have Tommy Edman. Left field, Yordan Alvarez. Center field, I have Trout. Right field, I have Judge. DH, I have Bryce Harper. And then my starting pitchers, I'm going to go with McClanahan, Alcantara, and Musgrove. And then my relief pitchers, Clay Holmes and Josh Hader.
Who was your third pitcher? You got Musgrove, McClanahan, and who?
Alcantara, Sandy Alcantara.
Sandy Alcantara. And I'm trying to type this up. I for the record, by the way. And who's the relievers again? I'm sorry.
My relievers were Clay Holmes and Josh Hader.
Okay. Yeah, man, you got a bunch of guys from my team, huh? You didn't pick from other teams, I see. Okay.
I have a bunch from my teams too, but unlike you, I didn't want to seem biased. So
no, Javier Baez. No, Javier Baez isn't making the All-Star game, bro. I'm sorry to break this to you. Javier Baez is not making the All-Star game. Sorry to break everybody's heart there.
I don't think it's his year. I just don't think it's his year.
All right. Sean, did you get a chance to make one or no?
Yeah, I'm trying to type it out right now, so I'll push and then I'll have it officially ready in a few minutes.
All right, well, let's move on then to position by position as Sean figures that thing out. You guys have access to I'm just going to go through the Fangraphs leaderboard. No made up stats here, or made up in terms of me creating a spreadsheet or anything. I'm just going to go position by position over at the Fangraphs leaderboard. You guys all have access to that website, so check them out. And I have it sorted by WAR. So I mean, it's a who's who of. We start with catcher always, right? We start with catcher, and it's a who's who of big names here: Wilson Contreras, Dalton Varsho, Sean Murphy, JT Realmuto, and Will Smith. Getting jiggy with it. Those are the only guys who qualify, who have enough qualified plate appearances. Because as you know, guys, catchers don't get a lot of playing time, but these are the only guys with a wins above replacement above 1. Sean, let's start with you. Is there any catcher that is not on the list? Because the other two names are Salvador Perez and Yasmani Grandal, but they're in the negative side of things. Is there a catcher that's not on the list that you feel should warrant more hype there?
I was muted. Yeah, there we go. Typical me. Catcher's been weird this year. You've had a couple of guys that are starting to play more. You've had a couple of guys that have just been doing the same thing as they've always done. I think Alejandro Kirk taking it full advantage of Danny Jansen's injuries so far. Danny Jansen going back on the IL, and Kirk has just taken that opportunity and run with it. Only 50 games, 178 plate appearances, so I don't even think he shows up as a qualified catcher. Even though he's right around some of those guys. But Alejandro Kirk finally getting the opportunity and doing what we saw him do in the minors and just mash like crazy. On base over 400, slugging 481, batting 325. Those all lead catchers with at least, I think, like 75 plate appearances. But yeah, Alejandro Kirk, definitely a guy who could possibly be the catcher at the All-Star game, and I think should.
Okay, I mean, that's a good argument. And you'll notice a lot of these guys, well, maybe not a lot of them, but at least from when we did the exercise in our total bases league, the podcast league over at ESPN, a lot of the leaderboards were guys who don't even catch a lot. And Alejandro Kirk is one of them, who is mainly used as a designated hitter, right?
Well, that's what they were trying to do when Jansen was on the roster. Right. But now with Jansen off the roster, they've called up Gabriel Moreno, the top prospect catcher. But I don't even think he's made it into a game yet. So
yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's a wealth of catching over there. And of course, Dalton Varsho, I think that's Austin's guy in one of the leagues here, I believe, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's
I have
playing
Dalton Varsho in our Mardi Gras league.
See, I knew I recognized him from somewhere, but yeah, he's not playing catching a lot. He's mostly a center fielder, and it looks like that's where he's going to stick if they want if the Diamondbacks want to keep his productivity. So Austin, who's your guy that should get more hype?
My AL catcher that I picked was Alejandro Kirk, so I agree with Sean there. But if we're gonna go with a different guy that I'm looking at right now, there's actually two that I feel like would deserve it, but I'm gonna give the nod to Jose Trevino of the Yankees. He's only played 39 games, has 104 plate appearances, but he already has out of all the catchers, if you filter it out to 0 plate appearances and just grab all the catchers, in 39 games, he already has the third highest WAR behind Wilson Contreras and Alejandro Kirk. He's got a 148 weighted runs created plus. He's batting 309 with a 356 OBP and a 505 slugging. Doesn't strike out a whole lot, 13.5%. Compared to some of these other catchers that are in the 20%, 25% range. Even Dalton Varsho, who I feel like is also an all-star. He's at 25.1%. You have Jose Trevino at 13.5%. Isolated power of 196. The dude is raking. He's raking. I feel like Jose Trevino deserves a look, even though he's played about 10 games less and has about 115 plate appearances less than everybody else.
And Melvin's letting us know. Melvin's on the show once again. Melvin letting us know that Gabriel Moreno did play last night. He went 1 for 4, scored a run, struck out once. So maybe the Gabriel Moreno at catcher era has started for the Blue Jays already. Perhaps. We'll see. I mean,
maybe that'll be like the only time he plays for like 2 weeks, and then he'll just inexplicably get sent back down, and like Zach Collins comes up.
Yeah, let's watch Zach Collins play. Why not? Because it works so well with the White Sox. Another guy that we should probably talk about, not too much though, Jonah Heim, who's just. I mean, Sean, I know we talked about him very early on in this show, but I thought he was just going to be an afterthought.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how much. Like, I felt like he could be a major league catcher and, like split time and play 80, 90 games or something like that. But the numbers have come back down because it was really just a huge hot start for him where he was batting like 350 for 3 weeks. But yeah, 124 WRC plus, slugging 470. It's an interesting profile. I think he's a good part-time catcher, that you pair with somebody else, and off to a nice little solid start. So
he was the other one that I was looking at along with Jose Trevino was Jonah Heim, but I feel like Jose Trevino has kind of had a better season, overall season, even though he's had 10 less games.
Yeah, I mean, I picked him up in the Mardi Gras League when Tyler Stevenson went down. So and Stevenson would probably get some all-star consideration, but he is out for the next 4 to 6 weeks with a thumb injury, maybe more. Who knows? Those are, I mean, for a catcher, it's a pretty tough injury to get back from, especially if it affects your hitting. And I don't know which thumb it is, but yeah, that's kind of a concern. And I don't know, man, it might be time to consider if William Contreras can keep hitting this way, we might see both Contreras brothers make the All-Star game.
That would be awesome.
That'd be cool. Atlanta's definitely trying to work Contreras into the lineup consistently, both catcher, left field. But yeah, we'll see. I still have reservations about William Contreras. Yeah. I mean, I don't doubt that when he does make contact, he can hit it a long way, but I just doubt the hit tool, and we'll see how long he can keep it up.
No, concerns are valid, but yeah, if he continues to produce, it's harder to argue. But he has a ways to go. I mean, we still have like maybe a month before the games get started. So, all right, let's move on to first base. It's who's who of elite first baseman: Paul Goldschmidt, Freddie Freeman, Pete Alonso, so on and so forth. I picked Matt Olson because he was the best first baseman on my league and any of my teams. CJ Cron is up there on the list as well. Let's start with you, Sean. Who's your guy that deserves more recognition here?
I think this is going to be Josh Bell. And this is coming from someone who has railed against Josh Bell for 2 years.
That's my guy.
Ever since he had that, great month of May in 2019. I mean, he had just been terrible ever since. But this year, he's been the best, really the best offensive player in that lineup with Juan Soto just not being pitched to competitively at all. And he's off to a good start. So Josh Bell.
Austin, how about you?
I'm gonna go with. I mean, I like the Josh Bell pick because Josh Bell is on my fantasy team. But when you look at it, there's a whole lot of who's who in the Fangraphs leaderboard of first baseman. You got Paul Goldschmidt and Freddie Freeman and Pete Alonso, and Matt Olson is up there and all those guys. But one that sticks out is probably a guy that maybe not very many people know about, or the casual fan anyway may not know about. It's Ty France of the Mariners. Ty France is having a hell of a season, really good season. He's got the second highest WAR of any first baseman on the board. He's got a weighted runs created plus of 168, batting 329 with a 406 OBP and a 496 slugging. There's really nothing bad you can say about Ty France's season. He's doing exceptionally well right now. The only first baseman that has a higher WAR than Ty France is Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt has a 2.8 WAR. Ty France has a 2.4 WAR. When you compare him with Matt Olson, your choice, Ty France is double the WAR, 2.4 WAR compared to 1.2 WAR. So I think he's going to lose out because first base has a lot of more popular players, the Paul Goldschmidts, the Freddie Freemans, the Pete Alonsos, the Matt Olsons, all those guys. So I have a feeling he's going to miss out, the Guerrero Juniors, and I feel like he's going to miss out a little bit because the fact that he's not well known and it's going to suck.
Yeah, and I'm kind of go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and in speaking before, because this is a very star heavy position. Two guys that I didn't want to get overlooked, and neither will probably make the All-Star team because they both have very popular, very exciting teammates that likely will. Garrett Cooper, who I could swear was younger than 31 years old, but here he is. He's having a career year, staying healthy.
Time, yeah.
315, 389, 473. 147 WRC plus, but probably won't sniff the All-Star game because of Jazz Chisholm. And then for Minnesota, Luis Arias has finally found a home at first base because he was just terrible everywhere else. And he probably won't make it because of Byron Buxton and probably who's another good player that team. Yeah, Buxton's kind of it, and then the rotation. But Luis Arias is just casually batting 367, 449 on base, 444 slugging. That's the third highest WRC plus position behind only Goldschmidt and France. He's walked 12% of his plate appearances and he struck out in 8% of his plate appearances. So he's walking way more than he strikes out, which is just really fun to see. And finally, Luis Arias is possibly having that season where he flirts with 400 and just very convincingly wins the batting title.
Yeah, and then Luis Arias. You talk about Luis Arias; he could play multiple positions. I thought Ty France also played multiple positions, but it looks like the Mariners are just going to keep him at first base.
They tried playing him at second base, and he was terrible. Kind of like the Luis Arias deal, because Luis Arias can play second base and third base, and left field, but you don't want him playing there. Like he was so bad. Luis Arias was this year, and I think Ty France was that same way last year, right after the trade.
And another guy that we talk about on this podcast a lot, it's actually Sean's guy, Yandy Diaz, who's a rare breed, still walks more than strikes out, has a 411 on base percentage, but a 354 slugging percentage.
I was going to save him for the third base show. I was going to save him for that. But yeah, he's awesome still.
No, hold on. We're still waiting for those power numbers to pick up, man. What's the holdup? I've been waiting.
The power numbers did pick up in 2019.
354 slugging percentage right now, Sean. Come on.
There you go. Hey,
that's horrible. What do you
I know, but 411 on base. I'll take it.
No, I want the information as to why he only has a 0.079 ISO power. Come on, man. It's first base, third base.
Because he's always been like that.
But why hasn't it translated to more power numbers?
Because he hits too many ground balls. It's the same thing that's been his problem all the time.
No, man. That's terrible. I'm sorry. That's good on base guys, but come on, man. I mean, the Rays are obviously winning with him, clearly, but I don't know. I just expect more from my corner infielders. Been kind of waiting for it. I mean, I was promised, Sean. more consistent power because he
I was
does
I would promise you that he'd hit the ball hard. I didn't say where he'd hit the ball hard.
This guy. All right, let's move on to second base. Anybody else that we needed to talk about here? I see Trey Mancini, Christian Walker, who's there was
not excited about any of the rest of them.
Yeah, all right, yeah. I didn't realize Christian Walker was hitting $1.97, but he has 15 home runs.
Yeah, he's another guy that is smacking the crap out of the ball, and the discrepancy between his batting average and expected batting average is like very, very large.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that he has like one of these months where it's just like he bats 400, he hits 9 home runs, like it's just an insane month.
All right, moving on to second base then. This Austin already mentioned him, Tommy Edman, Jazz Chisholm, probably one of the more exciting players, but we're finding out that he's a little bit of a diva out there, so we'll see if that affects.
This is my surprise face. Wow.
Yeah, cocky player does good. What do you expect? Jeff McNeil makes the top of the list here, as well as Santiago Espinal, who seems to just be perpetually on waiver wires. And then we finally get a big name like Jose Altuve, Trevor Story, who's, as Austin will realize, that he's come on strong in the last few weeks or so.
Yeah, and I almost traded him away.
Yeah, well, patience pays off for you, or you could have just gone after some other scrub from waiver wire like everybody else does. So good on your patience. Brandon Drury, you could have gone with that guy too if you wanted to, but Brandon Drury's still on the top 10 on this Fangraphs leaderboard. Let's start with Sean. Is there a name that you want to talk about at second base here?
Tommy Edman's at the top of this list, but I have him written up as a shortstop right now because after the whole DeYoung, he's just been at shortstop. So that leaves me with Jeff McNeil. Of course, little Mets bias here, but Jeff McNeil coming off, a terrible year last year. But from 18 to 20, he was just like the most consistent, like come as you go, 300 hitter. He tapped into some power in 19, pulled the ball for more power, but could still go the opposite way, still hit well over 300. Last year deals with a bum hamstring, tries to really rush back from it, never got right in the box. He was basically, if you ever see his stance, it looks like it's straight out of like the 60s. Like he's all hunched over, real squatted down. But last year he was standing straight up. He didn't have his legs underneath him. Now he's back, 312, 364, 436. And he hit a couple of balls early in the year when it was like the dead ball era of the season where he knew he had it. And he was like, damn, that's going to go. And he starts rounding first base, and then it just died. And so,
rest in peace.
Yeah, he was very upset at a lot of that. He said, you know what? I'm just going to try and hit the ball. I'm not going to try and, hit too many home runs. He said if they start carrying out, they start carrying out. But he said that on that plate appearance, he had gotten ahead in the count like 3-1, and he just turned and burned on it, and it just died. And he was like, what the hell did they do to this ball? And he's one of those guys who gets so mad in the batter's box. So like when they caught that ball, he's walking away from the dugout. He's like, mother, God damn. He's just going and going. But Jeff McNeil turning back to form as that prototypical, table setter with a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, already has the 3 home runs, 2 stolen bases. So maybe a 10-10 from a guy who bats 320, 330.
All right. And then Austin, who's your guy?
So we've already talked about McNeil is actually my left field choice. And we've already talked about Espinal. We've already talked about Drury. So I'm going to bring up one that, we haven't really talked about, but is quietly having a good season, not power wise, but is having a good season nonetheless, is Gavin Lux of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
In 53 games, he's batting 296, 375, 385 slugging. He's got a 122 weighted runs created plus for a 1.5 WAR, which is right around Brandon Drury, DJ LeMahieu, 0.1 under Trevor Story, 0.2 under Jose Altuve. Like he's right in there. He's in the top 10 in terms of second baseman. So he's having quietly a good season. 11.5 walk percentage, 17.7 strikeout percentage. He's doing really good. There really isn't anything. He's got a WOBA of what is that, 341, and his expected WOBA is pretty close. So he's performing right where he's supposed to be. As an Angels fan, it kills me to recommend a Dodger for the All-Star game. But you know what? Gavin Lux is pulling up and, quietly having a good season with all these other second basemen.
And Austin is in flux, having to talk about Gavin Lux. Another guy that I want to mention was Jorge Polanco, since we're glorifying guys who can't slug more than 400. Jorge Polanco with a 1.2 WAR as well. Just kind of waiting for him to start getting hot for my team because, he was pretty damn good last year. And then, of course, I pick him back right up again. I've always been a big fan of Jorge Polanco, but of course he can't produce. But he does have an on-base percentage of 340, so maybe there's some hope for him. And the guy we haven't mentioned at all, unless I missed it, I've been kind of tying up some loose ends on the comments here. But Ozzie Albies. That was the number one second baseman coming into this year. He's now down to number 11 with a 249 average, 289 on base, which, Sean, I remember we talked about that. That was always a concern that he can go as high as 340, 350, but he can always go below 300. And this year is one of those years. He's still slugging at 414. But, Ozzie Albies is not living up to that hype. Go ahead.
Been telling you guys for years.
Like
I just thought it was one of those. He was always great versus left-handed hitters, but he's always been below league average against right-handed hitters. And he was, as a right-handed hitter, or when facing right-handed pitchers. So when he's a lefty, he was just like a dead pull hitter. He would just try and turn and burn, lift and try and hit power for it, but he never got on base. He didn't really hit for a high average. It was just home run or bust from the left side of the plate. And I really think, a dead ball really hurts him in this situation where that happens. And of course, losing Freddie Freeman, having Freddie Freeman not be behind you in the batting order, I thought that was a huge. I was always the low guy on Ozzie Albies. I was even lower on him this year because of no Freddie Freeman. This is what we see.
All right, moving on to shortstop. A couple of guys I want to mention: Xander Bogaerts, Trey Turner. I have to mention them because they're on my team, not just my All-Star ballot, but they're also on my podcast team league. So, but some people will come up to me and say, "Well, my scrub players are better. Guys like Brendan Rodgers are better than those guys." Like, okay, guy, Brendan Rodgers, the bottom of the second base list. I just saw him down there having a horrible year, but I'm being told otherwise. I don't know, man. These people are high as hell. There's Tommy Edman, number 5 again. Bo Bichette, number 6. Another guy, Bobby Witt Jr., making the list just because the Royals are going to continue to throw him out there and see if he can figure things out. I have him in my baseball life team, and it's been a train wreck, Sean. It's been a train wreck.
I mean, he's been good defensively, which is going to keep him on the field at the major league level. And surprisingly enough, you look at that slash line and you're like, wow, that's not very good. But in the state of baseball as it is now, he's a 102 WRC plus guy. I mean, that is 2% above league average. And he's chipped in, a little bit of power, 10 steals. Things could go worse. Yeah. I mean, in terms of rookie debut seasons, it could be far worse.
Yeah, it really makes me wonder if I did the right thing because I drafted 5 consecutive prospects in our inaugural keeper draft. Remember that, Sean?
Yeah.
For the Baseball Life League. And 2 of those guys was Royce Lewis. 3 of those guys: Royce Lewis, Jarred Kelenic, and Bobby Witt Jr. And Royce Lewis out for the year again.
Same ACL. Yep.
That's a damn shame. Jarred Kelenic, who is a bust. I'll let that simmer down.
Still on my roster.
Of course, I heard what you said.
Yeah. I'll say you did hear it.
You talk about sad and pathetic, man. Come on, just let it go, Elsa. Let it go.
No, because I know the second I drop him, you're going to drop somebody in your minor. Well, actually, he can't fit in a minor league slot anymore. But you would pick him up. I know you would. No,
I won't. The end is full. I got players. I'm not. You know what it is, Sean. And this is another. You know what? I'm going to save it for another episode about prospects list and prospect hype and all that. But I'll tell you one thing: I've had more fun looking at minor league players, just doing the whole thing that we did in that last show with the prospects, where we literally looked at the minor league results at AAA, AA, single A, and all that. I had more fun looking up those players than I did looking at a list of the top 50. But I'll go into more detail on the future show. But no, man. You got to perform. You got to perform if you want to be on my team. But yeah, that was, and then who else was on my team? But I remember that might have cost me a couple of championships by going that route. I don't know. we'll never know. It's hard to tell, but so far it's been a big dud. That strategy to get all the top 5 prospects in the draft during the inaugural draft, and hoarding them, and then you see them blossom, and you plant them, you see them blossom, you see them grow up, and it's just that's and I forgot who the other 2 players were, but I'm pretty sure they were pretty big names. So anyway, enough about me. Austin, who's your shortstop that you want to talk about?
Shortstop I want to talk about. So we've already talked about Tommy Edman. Tommy Edman was my pick for a shortstop. The other one that I want to talk about is J.P. Crawford for Seattle. I feel like J.P. Crawford is going to lose out on the All-Star game, because I mean, he may get in if a player gets hurt, but he's going to lose out because you got Bogarts, you got you got Bichette, you got Wander Franco, you got, people like that I think are going to get votes before JP Crawford. But JP Crawford himself is having a very good season, slash line 304, 395, 446. Weighted runs created plus of 151. The man is better than 51% of the league. Like, come on.
It's the highest WRC plus among all qualified shortstops.
Exactly.
Which is a sentence I never thought I'd hear myself say about JP Crawford.
So JP Crawford is having a hell of a season. He's having a really, really good season. The other one that I kind of wanted to put a spotlight on is Dansby Swanson. I also think Dansby Swanson will lose out, but I'll leave that for if somebody else wants to talk about Dansby Swanson.
All right. I went back, Sean. Listen to these 5 draft picks I made back in 2020. That's our inaugural season. Because look at it, it's a who's who of prospects. Late in the draft, I decided, you know what, I better hoard up these prospects because I don't want anybody to get these guys. Royce Lewis was my number 1 selection.
Yeah.
In the late in the draft. We have 30 rounds, so this is round 22, 23, 24. Jarred Kelenic, Bobby Witt Jr., Forrest Whitley.
Oh God.
And Christian Pache, all top 30. I think they were all in the top 30 at that point. Top 30 major league prospects, if not higher than that. So there's your lesson to be learned. Just because they're on a big fancy prospect list doesn't mean that they're going to turn out to be good or they're going to live up to expectations. So
it's like that. I was just selling people on Joey Weimer, however you pronounce it. And he's like on most lists, Baseball America, he's like somewhere in the 90s. MLB, I think, has him in the 90s. But if you go back and you look over the last 2 seasons in the minor leagues, any prospect with at least 500 plate appearances, he's like 3rd and 4th in WOBA and WRC plus. And it's like, nobody talks about these guys. The other people on that list was like Juan Yepes. And then you started seeing like more like the bigger names like Jordan Walker from St. Louis or Spencer Torkelson. And it's like those guys get a lot of the press, but it's like these guys that weren't. I mean, Joey Weimer was 4th round pick in a 5-round draft, and he's done nothing but mash. 30 guy over his first 500 and change plate appearances, but he's never going to be a top 10 prospect. I mean, it just because he didn't have the pedigree, he didn't have the draft position. It's like I want guys that produce. I don't want just a hype. Granted, hype has value in its own in trades, but I want actual value. Not
you know
fake
what this
value.
is starting to sound like? Is this starting to sound like the NFL draft where teams have a choice between getting the 4-year starter or the junior or senior quarterback who started for 1 year but really showed up in that 1 year and raised his draft stock. And it really is amazing how these 1-year wonders get exposed once they get into the NFL. Maybe that's the same thing. I mean, Royce Lewis was a highly regarded product, number 1 pick overall, by the way. I know he came out of high school too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Got all the hype, and then the red flag should have been there when we saw what he was doing in single A, rookie ball, double A. He wasn't really producing. He was very inconsistent. But I mean, we talked about it, Sean.
Yeah.
You saw him.
I saw him in person, and I was like, because that year he just hadn't really come around to himself. Like he dominated rookie league and low A, and then when he got to high A, he was just kind of like a okay hitter. And I'm like, wait, this guy's the number 1, number 2 prospect in baseball. And then, of course, the game that he actually played in, it was a doubleheader. He didn't play game 1, played the game 2, and he had like a home run, a triple, and like all the tools were on display. And I was like, oh,
that's what
that's what they saw. But I was always still lower on him than most people, just because I was like, okay. And then, of course, he misses all of 2020 and 2021 with the knee surgery and COVID. Um,
Yeah.
was off to a great start in the minors this year. Called up, was off to a good start again, and it sucks to see. It really
Stay
does.
healthy. Just like Byron Buxton can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
You'll be happy to know that the guy I picked after those prospects, Kevin Gossman.
Hey, there you go. Big
Yeah,
brain move.
brain.
That was probably when he had just been traded and thrown into the bullpen in Atlanta, and they had him throw nothing but the splitter, basically.
Yeah, no, and then I see that he's being listed as the Giants already here. So I think this might have been his first year with the Giants. I remember saying, hey, you guys got to look out for Kevin Gossman. He's with the Giants now. He doesn't have to worry about small ballparks in Baltimore or a tough NL East league. Anyway, I just want to point out the guys you drafted while I drafted those prospects, Sean.
Oh God.
Brandon Nimmo, Blake Trinan, James Karinchak, Alec Boehm, and Andrew Vaughn. Looks like I would have been better off picking those guys instead of the prospects at this point.
Yeah, and I have none of those guys left.
Right.
I mean, I might have I don't even have Nimmo.
Tyler Stevenson was right after those guys. So I drafted Gossman, you drafted Stevenson. So yeah. So lesson learned. Don't go chasing waterfalls, you guys. All right, enough of that. Did anybody talk about Jeremy Pena yet? I mean, shortstop is loaded here, but Jeremy Pena,
shortstop's having a great year. Nobody's talked about Pena yet.
Yeah, the reason that the Astros were happy to see Carlos Correa go was because Jeremy Pena was going to be a good one. Jeremy Pena, currently 270, 322, 449 with 8 home runs, 25 RBI. Still raw, still learning. Francisco Lindor should get some votes in. Make sure Wander Franco. Everybody's excited to see him, but he is kind of slumping right now with a 305 on base percentage. But he is one of the more exciting players, one of the young, exciting players. And there's Corey Seager at number 11, but not having a good year so far. So, but he'll get some votes because of name recognition, probably.
Yep.
So let's move on to third base. We have at the top of the list Jose Ramirez, my guy Rafael Devers. Actually, Manny Machado's at the top of the list. Oh, okay. Machado and Ramirez are tied at 3.5 wins above replacement according to Fangraphs. Rafael Devers, everybody's favorite third baseman, though, Nolan Arenado, 2.5. And rounding out the top 5 is Austin Riley. Austin, let's start with you since your name is Austin as well. Who is your third baseman you want to talk about?
So both my picks were Manny Machado and Jose Ramirez. It kind of was, that one was pretty easy, but the other one that I want to talk about is actually on one of my fantasy teams having a pretty good season on a really terrible team is Ke'Bryan Hayes of the Pirates. Ke'Bryan Hayes in 53 games has a slash line of 283 with a 367 on base percentage. He's not slugging above 400.
Yeah, get on to him, Felipe. His guy's not slugging. His on base is lower than or higher than his slugging. Get on to him.
I'm sorry. Who's that guy? I'm sorry.
Hayes.
Ke'Bryan Hayes.
And just like Yandy, he hits the hell out of the ball. It's he doesn't hit it for power. He never has. He never has.
We talked about it, but we don't hype up Ke'Bryan Hayes like you hype up Yandy Diaz, though. That's the
I think more people hype up Ke'Bryan Hayes than Yandy.
No, I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about this podcast. I think we've been pretty fair with Ke'Bryan Hayes, but I don't know, man. You seem to hype up Yandy Diaz a little too much, is all I'm saying. You know?
No, Yandy. Okay, Yandy's a better real life guy than he is fantasy guy. I'll give you that.
All right, as long as you admit it, man. That's all I ask. Go ahead.
Yeah, Ke'Bryan Hayes will probably lose out to people like Manny Machado and Nolan Arenado, and probably Austin Riley will get some votes too. So I don't really see Ke'Bryan Hayes making the All-Star team, but I mean, it's something to say in a league that is down offensively. You know, nobody. I mean, you're having a few people that are starting to slug. They're starting to figure out the ball and slug now, but I mean, slugging is down all over the league. So. Yeah. I mean, I think it's been more important, especially at the beginning of the year, of just getting on base, whether or not it's hitting for power, just getting on base, because the ball is obviously different. So, and Ke'Bryan Hayes has figured out a way to do that. It may not be, slugging for extra base hits, but he's getting on base. He's got a good grip of stolen bases. He's got 7 stolen bases this year. And he's done it to the tune of a 117 weighted runs created plus and a 1.8 WAR, good for 6th on MLB third baseman. So my pick is Ke'Bryan Hayes.
I see DJ LeMahieu still in the top 10. I mean, obviously that's he's been playing almost every day, it seems like. And I could have sworn I saw Yankee fans complaining about him, and wow, is he really doing that bad? And he's still top 10, 261 average, 343 on base, 404 slugging. That's pretty much who he is, right? Without
He's kind of down. I mean, last year he was batting 268. And he's at 261 now. But I think they want the 2020 DJ LeMahieu.
Okay, that's just not going to happen.
You
I mean,
can't have
it could happen.
It could happen.
But I just don't think it's going to.
Yeah, I mean, the no benefit of the ball no benefit of the smaller ballparks or the course field effect. This is who he is. This is why the Cubs didn't believe in him when they released him and sent him to the Rockies. He's a line drive hitter, but as you know, line drives don't always mean home runs or big time power. But
see Andy Diaz and Cabrian Hayes.
Yeah, clearly. But this is not too bad though. I mean, a 747 ops from a middle infielder. I mean, just you guys are the best team in the league.
He's not a middle infielder.
Well, he's listed here. I mean,
yeah, he's been playing a lot of I think first base too.
I am so sorry. This is the third base list.
This is third base, but I saw him playing first base the other day too, and I was like, whoa, that's weird.
The majority of his games have actually been at third base.
Okay, yeah. I know I've seen him play more like first base than in the past. I know he's always played a good bit of second and third, but
hey guys, to me he'll always be a second baseman. All right, I don't care what anybody says.
In 45 games, he's played 8 games at first, 16 games at second, and 28 games at third.
He qualifies. He almost qualifies for next year too.
Yeah, almost got it lined up.
Well, just like his line drives that he hits, right? Anybody else? Let's see. It's a top 10 list, but as the pattern I'm seeing here, guys. Once you get outside the top 6, top 7, it just goes downhill in terms of the production. Even though they're still in the top 10, the position with the balls being weighed heavily or the humidors, I don't know what it is. It's so unpredictable. It's not reliable. But a lot of these guys are not producing the way they should. I mean, Alex Bregman, who's on my podcast league team, still showing the good plate discipline, very patient hitter, but has a 710 ops. And he's number 11 on this list, or tied for 10th, I should say, with number 11. Sorry, number 11 with Andy Diaz. Patrick Wisdom also at the bottom of the list, but he has a 765 ops. But we know Patrick Wisdom with a 35% strikeout rate. So, anybody else that we need to mention here?
I just find it of note that I dropped the minimum PAs to 50.
Okay.
And 2 names that pop up in terms of WRC plus. One, Jason Vossler, left-handed infielder from the Giants, and Jake Berger, who was like a prospect of note, and he's caught fire here in the last couple of weeks and on the season. He's played in 36 games, 136 plate appearances, 280, 326, 528 with 8 home runs and only those 136 plate appearances, and so far has a 143 WRC plus. So he's a guy that I've been trying to keep an eye on because he's been available in some leagues, and he's striking out about 30%, 29-30% of the time. But I feel like he's one of those guys that his power is pretty legit.
Him and
without even really. I mean, they're just big guys, burger and beer guys.
Burger, beer, and who's Fry?
Paul Fry, yeah. But he's like he wouldn't fit in with them because actually he would because he's a tiny thin Fry and
he's skinny like a Fry.
Yeah. And Burger and beer are just boom.
You add some brown sugar to him, he's a sweet potato Fry. Listen, guys. Listen, gentlemen. Number 1 rule is don't trust any White Sox prospects. Don't trust them. I mean, we were talking big about Gavin Sheets too last year, so I'm not getting my hopes up on any White Sox prospects. They've done such a shit job being themselves as always. It doesn't matter if it's Kenny Williams or Rick Hahn. They can figure that minor league system out.
If they just combine Jake Berber and Berber, baby, Jake Berber and Gavin Sheets, and just let them DH. One faces lefties, one faces righties.
Well,
that's like Barry Bonds right there.
I saw one comment that suggested that Jake Berger should play second base. Okay, guy. All right, that's when you know you're.
Well, I mean, that was Andrew Vaughn started playing second base, and I was like, "What the hell are they doing?"
All right, let's move on to the outfielders, and this is the creme de la creme here. They got 6 names who are over 2.0 in terms of Fangraphs wins above replacement. You got Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, who's having a big bounce back year, Mike Trout. So shout out to Corey Decker, who was able to draft both of those guys in the first and second round pick. The best thing about him though, Austin, is he wouldn't have made that trade to trade both of those guys for Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh God.
Shout out to Larry there.
We know somebody else that was going to.
Yeah. I'm beating his ass right now, just like a rented mule. Jordan Alvarez.
And then same guy wanted
Your guys. He wanted your guys.
Call for 3 bums.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if he told you this, Sean, but Larry tried to get Garrett Cole and 2 other players to be named later, I guess, for 3 of his worst hitters, and he was justifying it. The other guy did. He did accept the trade. Austin, like the good commissioner that he is, reached out to him. Hey, why did you accept this trade? And Jake said, "Oh yeah, that's the guy. Jake is the other guy. Jake Hibbert." He goes, "Oh, I agree. It's a shitty trade, but I just accepted it for giggles." Like, no, I don't think so, guy. No. Let's try to take this league seriously. Come on.
No.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
So I'll admit it, between Larry and Jake, they're losing big time points for next year, man. I don't care. Got a big ass waiting list waiting for people to come into this league, and these guys are just being asses about it. So you can tell I'm still upset. Kyle Tucker number 5 though. So you got 2 Astros players: Jordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, and then of course we got to talk about it. Brandon Nimmo, top 6. I know Sean and the Mets fans are happy. Still only has 4 home runs. So
he had to drive the knife in there.
One more guy, top 7, Jeff McNeil. Also qualifies at outfield. So
like Austin said earlier, he was going to have him listed for left field, which now with the injuries that they've kind of are dealing with, he is going to play more left field than second base.
I have Jeff McNeil as my NL left field and Brandon Nimmo as my NL center field.
Oh, okay.
For my outfield total, I got Nimmo, Tucker, and Trout.
Is that official? Can I put them on the list?
Yeah, you can put them on the list.
All right, so it was
put it on the board. I was thinking the same damn thing.
So it was Brandon Nimmo, and who's the other guy? Tucker
and Trout.
Got it, Kyle Tucker. All right.
Because I just didn't want to pick Judge and Betts because that's just so obvious.
All right. Jurickson Profar is still in the top 10.
That was who I wanted to talk about. I was shocked. I was shocked to see him up here. In terms of WAR, he's at a 1.8 WAR, which is pretty high up there. I had it filtered to left field because I thought we were just going to go left field. So 1.8 WAR, which is good for tied for 8th with George Springer and Julio Rodriguez coming back after a disappointing start to the season. But Jurickson Profar, he is walking just about as much as he's striking out, 12.5% to 15.6%. We want to talk about home runs. He's got 7 of them. 7 homers. He's slugging over 400. He's slugging 423, 252 average, 348 on base, 423 slugging. He's at a 123 weighted runs created plus. Let's see what happens when you organize it by weighted runs created plus. He's good for 17th out of all the outfielders in the MLB. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right around people. He's just outside of like the prototypical like star outfielders that we talk about. So he's having a really, really, really good season. After, I'm sure both of you have bagged on Jurickson Profar. I know I've bagged on Jurickson Profar and how disappointing he's been.
Yeah. I always liked the kid, man. I always liked him. I've been kind of waiting for him to bust out like this. I mean, remember, Sean, this is a guy that a year or 2 ago, we were doing the barrel watch, and I was surprised to see his name show up.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he had 0 barrels at this point of the year, along with Nick Madrigal, and I forgot who the other guys were.
It's like I was like, I don't want to say like I ever wanted to like rag on him, but he was just kind of like at this point, I accepted that he wasn't going to be a major league star, but he could be like Ben Zobrist.
Yeah,
he had in 2018, 2019, he had the 20 home run years, 10 stolen bases. That 2018 year, 250. And like he always walked a good bit, 9-10%, and wasn't striking out a bunch. It was just a weird profile that wasn't working. And
right
here he is, at 29, having a career year so far. So good for him.
Yeah. And like I said, Barrel Watch 2020, I think it was. David Fletcher was another guy, and Nicky Lopez, I believe, was the other guy. And he went from having 0 barrels at this point of the year back in the day to getting 10 barrels now. He already has 10 barrels at 5.5% barrel rate.
Look at him go.
Look at him go, finally living up to expectations. Now, hey, I guess he has more playing time, and he's figured, and he has taken advantage of it. Another guy I wanted to. Is there anybody else I want to talk about? Giancarlo Stanton has 13 home runs, but striking out 28.1% strikeout rate. Austin Hayes making the top of the top 15 list here at a 1.4 WAR. I don't know, Harrison Bader. How's he doing? I don't want to talk about him. Sean, did you get your guy in already or no?
For I mean,
Outfield.
it was like Nimmo. I mean, I guess
Okay.
Nimmo would be the guy, but it's what's his name is just looking at him. Cody Bellinger still bad. 211, 283, 402, 95 WRC plus.
Luis Robert is still among the top 25, but even though he hasn't played a lot this year because of injury, and he's not doing so well. 718 ops, 108. I mean, it's still 108 WRC plus. I mean, you talked about it, Sean, already. I mean, that's how bad this league has been.
Yeah.
Where Luis Robert with his horrible production numbers.
That 3.7 walk rate, though.
That's
gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Typical White Sox player, that's gonna be their downfall, man. That lack of patience. They just hack at everything. But at least they don't strike out a lot, so that's good. But so that's the outfield. Go ahead and tell me who you would choose for that. And then we got designated hitters, but we already talked about that. I mean, I don't want to talk about DHs. Should we talk about DHs? See what happens when I click on DH. Does it give me all?
I picked Yordan Alvarez. I feel like that's an easy, boom, DH only.
I had Bryce Harper. I had Bryce Harper and JD Martinez.
That's what I was looking for, because I guess Bryce Harper doesn't even he's not showing up on the outfield list, but he does show up on the DH list. Okay, that makes more sense.
All right, so sorry, what's your DH is going to be? Oh, if I could figure how to do this properly, your DH is going to be Yordan Alvarez there.
Yeah.
All right, let's put him on the board. Yordan Alvarez. Do you have your other offensive players yet or no?
Yeah.
Who's your catcher?
Alejandro Kirk.
Oh, okay, Alejandro Kirk. His first base?
Josh Bell.
Second base?
McNeil.
Jeff McNeil. Sorry for the screaming baby. Shortstop?
Shortstop, Edmund. Tommy Edmund.
Oh, okay, just like what's his face? Austin. Third base?
No.
No.
I picked Yandy.
Oh, are you serious?
I did. He's got the fourth highest WRC plus third base. Come on now.
Wow. All right. Weird, but okay. All right. Now we move on to starting pitchers. At the top of the list, Kevin Gausman, superseding all expectations. I did not. We thought there was going to be a rude wake-up call, rude awakening for him in Toronto, and he's just been doing what he does best, just baffling hitters and number one starting pitcher according to Fangraphs WAR. Rounding out the top five, the Tariq Skubal, Zach Wheeler, who's just as reliable as it gets. Joe Musgrove, my guy. So as you guys know, Joe, it was the last couple of years, it's been the Kevin Gausman, Joe Musgrove show, but I decided to let Kevin Gausman go, and I redrafted Joe Musgrove, so I'm happy about that. And then rounding out the top six is Sandy Alcantara, who's was picked by Austin for his team, and Shane McClanahan, who is in my Mardi Gras league, so I'm happy about that. And of course, because it is 2022, it is a weird year. We have a bum like Martin Perez in the top seven, Max Fried, Shane Bieber, and Kyle Wright.
Hey, shit happens,
It's been a weird year. It's been a weird, frustrating, confusing year where a guy like Martin Perez, the bum that he is, the trash bag that he is, he figures something out at the age of 31. Because of course, older is always better with pitchers. And then Kyle Wright, the reclamation project that he is, doing good things with the Atlanta Braves. So that's the top 10. Sean, I guess let's start with you. Can we just get Nestor Cortez out of the way? Nestor Cortez, he's been having a good year, right? We can agree that he's been having an excellent year. Okay.
Agree.
All right. So who's your guy, Sean?
Well, we had three, right?
Who's the guy you want to talk about? But you have your list ready?
I got the list ready.
All right, who's your list?
So we'll do Wheeler, who everybody thought was dead after his first few starts. And it's like, guys, he didn't have a spring training. Then I'm going to go with Tariq Skubal. Finally, like you said, he's tucked in there right at number 2 behind Gausman and in front of Wheeler. Finally, kind of reaching what we expected out of him. And then my third guy was right outside the top 10, and that's going to be Alek Manoah.
Okay.
God damn you. What I was going to pick.
The strikeouts are down this year. Granted, they seem down for a lot of pitchers, so I'm not really too terribly worried about it, but having a great year so far and just absolute bulldog on the mound.
Well, and again, I always got to point out this about Terry Skubal. In a team with Casey Mize and Matt Manning, Terry Skubal kind of came out of nowhere and became the one guy from that heralded Detroit Tigers pitching prospect list.
Yeah.
He's the guy who lived up to expectations.
And
Casey
of course,
Mize,
just going down with Tommy John. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
And where's Matt Manning at this point?
Matt Manning is in the rotation, I think.
But is he doing good at all?
I have no clue. He might be on the IL. Right now,
ridiculous.
according to Roster Resource, Detroit only has 3 starting pitchers. They have Tariq Skubal, Alex Fado, and Bo Brieski. Injured list pitchers: Tyler Alexander, IL; Matt Manning, IL; Casey Mize, IL; Michael Pineda, IL; Eduardo Rodriguez, IL; Spencer Turnbull, IL.
Well, that brings up a much better question. Who is waiting for them in the minors? And you got Drew Hutchison.
Well,
did he play quarterback for some team in the NFL?
The guys that are on the 40 man who have both at times pitched this year, Joey Wentz and Elvin Rodriguez, not Elvis. Elvin's the one that has gotten absolutely blown up. I think he's given up 19 runs in his last 2 starts, or 18 runs in his last 2 starts.
Right.
They optioned him back down. Joey Wentz has pitched a couple of times, not done very well.
Yeah.
There's really not much, man.
No, man, of course there is. There's Drew Hutchison, the former quarterback. I could have
32 years old.
At this point, you just need an arm, bro. You just need an arm. Forget your minor league prospects. They're done. There's nobody in AAA is going to come and help you right now. And AA, you're waiting for Reese Olson, who we talked about, and I don't think he's going to come up anytime soon. And then the other guy that people might notice, Chase Anderson. He can pitch 5 innings for you, right?
Oh yeah, there he is. He is there. I didn't even. I glossed right over him.
No, seriously, is Drew Hutchison the ex-quarterback? I want to know. I'm very curious about this. Is he the guy? Oh,
I do not know. Let me look. Oh, you got
the
it.
Blue Jays. No, but I just look Fangraphs page. I need to go to Wikipedia or something. But yeah, he played for the Blue Jays. I remember. That's where I remember him from.
Interesting.
But no, you go ahead and look that up. I'm round 15. So that's a clue. He was picked in round 15 because they don't know if he's playing football or baseball, unless I'm thinking about somebody else. So I do apologize if I'm thinking about somebody else. All right, so there's the Tigers. Hey, as a White Sox fan, I guess it could be worse. We could be the Tigers. All right, and then they got another who's who: Frankie Montas, Carlos Carrasco, Carlos Rodon, Aaron Nola, Alek Manoah, who Sean just mentioned. Austin, anybody after the top 16 on that list that you want to talk about?
Actually, yeah, there are 2 that I want to talk about. First one was the guy that I traded to you in the total bases league there, Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert has served to be a very good pitcher this year for the Mariners. I feel like I've been talking about the Mariners a lot in this podcast. A solid 2.41 ERA. He's got a 1.6 WAR. He's got a 6-2 record, although we know that wins and losses are not necessarily they're not necessarily dependent on how good a pitcher is. One thing that I'd like to mention is Logan Gilbert is in the top 15 in innings pitched. He's at 71 innings pitched. In my mind, if pitching a lot of innings is very important to me as a starting pitcher now. K per 9. He is at, where'd he go? He is at 8.87 K per 9. Walks per 9 are a little high, 2.79. But overall, he's got a good ERA now, 2.41. I think the numbers are showing that he's overperforming, but he's overperforming to an all-star caliber. So yeah, I'm good with that.
No, man. Yeah, as you know, I love me some Logan Gilbert. I mean, the reason we talk about the Mariners is because they have a lot of intriguing players. It's just it's not resulting in being competitive for some odd reason. So go ahead. Who's your other guy?
The other one that I want to kind of highlight because I wasn't sure how this guy was going to do coming into this year, but he's proved to have had a great season so far, Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander is 7-2 with a 9.17 K per 9, which I want to point out that at the beginning of the year, we talked about the K per nine and whether it was going to go down or not. And I said yes. And everybody said, how far? And I said, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw 8 Ks per nine. And everybody went, oh, well, now he's at 9.17. So watch out. But anyway, having a good season nonetheless. He's at a 2.13 ERA. Again, overperforming, it kind of looks like, but overperforming to an all-star caliber at this point, coming off of Tommy John surgery and being however old he is at this point, 45. I don't know how old he is.
30. He's listed at 39, but
39.
I don't know when his birthday is. So
39 years old. So the fact that he's come out and is having the season that he's having right now for the Astros, good on Justin Verlander. Comeback player of the year right now in my opinion.
Oh yeah, easily. Another guy I want to talk about, Framber Valdez, who's on.
That's my guy.
I think he's on 2 out of the 3 of my teams, and he's been basically the rock for a lot of those teams, along with Joe Musgrove in the Baseball Life League. Definitely in the Total Bases League, he's been my best pitcher, which is I'm ashamed to admit, but I've always liked. Well, now I'm gonna get just my word. I've always liked the Houston Astros rotation. Framber Valdez was always one of the iffier ones for me, but all he does is produce. So this year I decided not to question it anymore, and I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it, and I'm not gonna question the low StatCast numbers or whatever, the how it shows up in blue on his StatCast page. I'm just gonna go with it. So last guy, Dylan Cease, big strikeout numbers.
I really wanted to pick Dylan Cease. I really wanted to. No, you talk about him. But he was a guy that like I was right there to add him as one of my 3.
I mean the problem with him is that he walks too many guys. So you got the White Sox hitters who swing at too many pitches and don't take walks, and then you got Dylan Cease who walks too many guys, but he strikes out plenty of guys to make up for that. So he has so 2.70 strikeout per walk ratio. So not necessarily elite, but definitely it holds him above water. Still with the 96 mile per hour fastball on average. So he has always had lightning stuff. Can he command it has always been the question. It looks like this year he's finally putting it together. So he might deserve some all-star consideration as a de facto ace of that staff now.
Yeah. I thought it was amazing that, he's basically leading major league starters with a 12.71. And even with a 4.7 walks per 9, he has a 2.83 expected ERA. And I mean, he's had a couple of starts. I want to say me and Jacob talked about it, where it's like he only gives up 1 or 2 hits, but he has like 4 or 5 walks.
Yeah,
and he doesn't give up any runs. It's a weird profile.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Kerry Wood, but obviously, much Kerry Wood was much more inconsistent as the years went on with him. But yeah, Kerry Wood would always be unhittable for the first couple of innings, and then the walks started coming in. It's kind of similar to that. But we know Kerry Wood was. I mean, they call him Kid K for a reason. The strikeouts were always there, but so were the walks, unfortunately. Anybody else? Let's see. Pablo Lopez is always good. Logan Webb is living up to expectations in the top 25. Paul Blackburn coming out of nowhere. Nick Pivetta. Wow. Who was the guy who liked Nick Pivetta at the start of the year? Here, was that you, Sean?
I was kind of like hopefully optimistic.
Yeah, there's always a lot to like about Nick Pivetta, but he always lets you down. But he's taking advantage over at Boston. Tyler Mahle, who is 5.07 ERA, somehow still shows up in the top 30. War's a fake stat. That's why I don't use advanced metrics. Miles Mikolas is the opposite of Dylan Cease. Low strikeouts, but low walks. Jordan Montgomery, just all he does is show up every 5 days. And then Darvish kind of having a comeback season of his own here.
With only 7.2 strikeouts per 9, which is so weird to see from Darvish.
Yeah. But
he's going deep into games, as you can see, 67 innings and 11 starts. So
right,
maybe he's figured something out.
It's hard to believe that I mentioned comeback season. I mean, he had a pretty good year last year, but I know that there was a big time second half swoon out of him last year. All right,
I know all about that. I traded for him at the deadline, and it screwed me.
I would also like to point out that out of the 3-headed monster that was supposed to be the New York Mets pitching staff, the pitcher on that rotation with the highest WAR for this season is Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah. Yep. Well, wait until they get healthy, man. It's like picking up what was the quote? It's like, well, the Dodgers got Trey Turner and Max Scherzer last year. Well, we're gonna get Max Scherzer and Jacob deGrom this year. Jacob deGrom, who I just got so upset with him, I just decided to trade him to the first person that hit the accept button in the Mardi Gras League. And Sean, you'll love this one. I traded him straight up because there were no takers. I was trying to trade him for like the last couple of months, and then I heard that we're gonna hopefully we can get him back by July 31st, August 1st. Oh, screw that! I'm done.
He's supposed to be back.
Yeah,
it's like the end of June, beginning of July. Like,
yeah, now it's changed, and that was always the initial timetable. But at some time around early May, around there, they were saying late July, and I go, you know what? I already have way too many pitchers who are injured. I need that slot because we only get one IL slot. I need to get rid of myself of this guy right
brutal.
now.
One IL slot. Oh,
yeah. Well, we have a short roster, so it's all good. But the guy I traded for him, because like I said, this was the first guy who hit the accept button, and everybody else was rejecting left and right. So I said, well, I'll take it. George Kirby.
Hey, there you go.
People were shitting on me for that trade. You like it?
I mean, like,
all things considered.
You know who didn't shit on you for that trade? Me.
Yeah, my guys.
Like,
you know who your real friends are.
It's not terrible, but it's like if you were just that done with him, then.
At least I've been Kirby is producing something.
He's here, and deGrom is not. And I think I even threw Austin an offer, and he rejected it. But I've been throwing offers left and right. Everybody's saying,
I didn't reject it. I didn't see it.
Oh, drama.
Well, either way, if you don't see it, that's a rejection right there. So I mean, you didn't accept it either. So it's like how people say, well, maybe I'll go to. No, maybe means no. Just cut the shit. Maybe means no. All right.
I agree.
Relievers. Let's finish up this show strong. We got Michael King at the top of the leaderboard, who Sean's been advocating for him to be the closer for the Yankees for a while now. But it's not him. It's Clay Holmes.
Oh, it should be Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes is awesome. Oh, but the high ground ball rate, Sean.
83% is not going to last an entire year.
83% though is a magic number. You know how I feel about the number 83. AJ Minter always brings the goods. I have him in the Baseball Life League, I believe. Yes, I do. AJ Minter, and a team full of really good, big name relief pitchers down in Atlanta. He's proving to be the best of the month. So,
and he's had years where he's great, and then he's the most mercurial lefty flamethrower like in a long time. Because like he's great, he's terrible. He's great, he's terrible, and it's just. Oh, it's a freaking roller coaster.
Well, you know what's the most important thing about him, Sean?
He's great this year.
He leads the league in holds at 14.
Does he really have 14 holds? Wow.
Yeah, well, already. Devin Williams, Ryan Tepera, Drew Smith, all those guys. Ryan Helsley, who I noticed Sean picked up my dirty garbage in the Baseball Life League, so good luck to you with that. He started slumping for my team, and I said, you know what? I have you here for one reason and one reason only.
Slumping.
You're not doing it.
Slumping.
He was awful.
9 ERA.
There was this period of 2 weeks where he just started shitting the bed, and the worst part about him, he wasn't getting any holds whatsoever. So I need to move on, guy. David Bednar, who we're all big fans of, he's in the top 5. Clay Holmes, who we talked about. Ready for this name? Tyler Kinley for the Rockies. Who has Tyler Kinley under Fantasy League?
Probably no one.
You're missing out on 10 holds, you guys. 10 holds and a 27% strikeout rate. Shame on all of us.
We should all feel bad.
Sir Anthony Dominguez finally living up to some of the prospect hype he had with the Phillies for a while. Devin Williams, we know about Devin Williams. We know about Kenley Jansen, Josh Hader, Jason Adam, Brock Burke, and Matt Strum, and David Robertson round out the top 10, so to speak. It's a long list because there's about 5 guys tied with a 0.8 WAR.
Yeah.
So with all that said, who's the guy you want to talk about, Sean? Outside the top.
I was gonna go. I think Clase just kind of being forgotten about, but still being awesome.
Yeah.
10 saves. The walks are low. I mean, the strikeouts are good. They're not like the elite of Edwin Diaz or Josh Hader, but Clase just goes out there and gets the job done. He's not overperforming everything. It's 1.93 ERA, 1.94 expected ERA, a 1.90 FIP, and a 1.90 xFIP. I don't think I've ever seen those three so close.
You ready for another one?
Go.
1.90 Sierra.
Whoa, no, you're shitting me.
No, I'm looking at it right in front of me. 1.90 fifth.
That's so weird that they're all just so lined up with each other. Oh, that's weird.
You don't get more poker than that. That's straight up poker face. 1.7 barrel rate. I mean, that's ridiculously low. So Class A and still averaging 100 miles per hour on that fastball.
Yeah, he's stupid.
Austin, who's your guy?
So before I go to my guy, Tyler Kinley in CBS leagues is rostered in 2% of leagues. And in ESPN leagues, he is rostered in 1.2%.
Oh, 1.2.
Yeah.
He's milk. Milk is what he is.
Which is up 0.4%. So there was at a time he was less than 1%. Anyway,
people are buying Tyler Kinley.
He's milk, man. He's 2% milk. All right, go ahead, Austin.
So I think the person that I want to talk about is somebody that is having, I guess you could say it's a good season. His ERA would say otherwise, but his FIP actually says he's having a really good season. He's third in saves, Kenley Jansen of the Braves. 17 saves in 26 games. He's pitched 26 2/3 innings, a 12.49 K per nine. Walk per nine is a little high, but he's not giving up home runs. And but his ERA is at 3.39. His expected ERA 2.09, but his FIP 2.24. So that's telling me his defense is actually hurting him. So and he's in the top 10 in WAR of all relievers. So, I really think that Kenley Jansen kind of deserves some look here. I think his surface numbers are probably going to hurt him and probably not get him a nod for the All-Star game, but I wanted to highlight him and say he's actually having a better season than probably a lot of people would think.
You'll love this, Sean. The trade between the big controversial trade that was that the Mariners did, one of them, sending Rafael Montero to Houston. Rafael Montero is number 11 in WPA at 1.40. Now
I have Montero on one of my.
Oh yeah. Well, he has 4 saves, 25.5% strikeout rate, having a pretty decent year. But the guy that the Mariners got back in one of those multiple trades that they pulled off last year, Diego Castillo, number 8 at 1.46 WPA. So I kept telling you guys that's an upgrade, and nowhere to be seen on this list right here, Sean.
Well, they got Diego Castillo and from Tampa for Austin Shenton, third minor league third base. But yeah.
And then
Castillo has always been nasty.
And I think they sent both Graveman and Montero to Houston for, I forgot who it was, but
Abraham Toro.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
6 years of Abraham Toro for Renzel Graveman, and Rafael Montero was just kind of like here you go, whatever.
Well, I'm just finishing up here. The one guy I'm not seeing in the top 30 WPA is Kendall Graveman. So I guess the Mariners were right. They did the right thing there. I don't even know how he's on my team on the White Sox, and I don't even know how Kendall Graveman's doing.
He was hurt, I believe.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, either way, I'm not seeing him here anywhere. So. Daniel Bard also in the top 7 in WPA. I don't know what to make of him. I was this close to dropping him in the Mardi Gras League, unless I already did and I didn't notice. But yeah, Daniel Bard has 12 saves already. But man, he is just, I don't trust him, Sean. Am I?
A Colorado reliever you don't trust? Wow.
He's throwing 97 miles per hour. How do you not like that, man? How do you not like? It's like a siren.
I don't know, because it's Coors Field.
It's a siren call. It's luring me into bad waters, man. That's what it is. Let's have some fun here.
I mean, this is like the second, third year in a row that Bard's been like kind of good. I mean,
kind of good.
he's been throwing hard ever since he came back.
Yeah.
And yeah, last year was a bad year for ERA. But yeah, he's definitely having his best year this year.
I know he was racking up saves because I had him on my team last year, so he kind of saved last ditch.
Yeah, he had 20 saves with a 5.2 ERA.
Oh, well,
and 80 strikeouts in 65 innings.
By the way, I gotta share my screen really quick because I know Melvin. This happened to him earlier, but yeah, now I'm getting the ads from Fangraphs here about the bikini.
Oh, we're gonna be demonetized on YouTube.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that he did the same thing and he got the same commercial. So there you go. I don't even know what that is. It's okay. I see the name now. Well, they gotta pay me for me to mention them. So, all right, and then strikeout rate. Let's have some fun with the big arm, big strikeout rate. Number one in the hood, G, Edwin Diaz. So I'm sure Sean is happy about that. 45.7% strikeout rate. That is absurd.
Yeah,
That
he was at 50%. It was, I think, 72 plate appearances against, and he had struck out 36 of them. Like it's wild what he's doing. And
our guy, Tanner Scott, finally getting some save opportunities.
Oh, so. I'm glad you mentioned because I was about to forget. Because it's finally Tanner Scott season. I believe it.
All right, Austin. Anybody else you want to name? Maybe some deep sleeper that no one knows about that they should know about. Yeah, I feel like you gave me a softball there with Kenley Jansen. We all know who Kenley Jansen is. Come on, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of poking around at all of these stats, and I poked on ERA minus.
Here we go.
Someone has an ERA minus of 0. You guys ready to hear who it is?
Go ahead.
JP Fireisen.
But Fireisen, yeah.
That's crazy.
He always brings the goods, man. He always brings the goods. I like him. But I've seen negative ERA minuses where they're so good that they're just infinitely good. Okay, Sean, who's your 2 relief pitchers? I don't think I got them.
The other 2, Halsey and King.
Oh, okay.
Halsey, King, and Clase.
No, just 2.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, okay.
No, just 2.
So Clase and Halsey then.
Okay, all right. So you're basically admitting that my bullpen's better than your bullpen.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah. Picking up my trash is what you're doing. I see you all. I see you, Sean. I see your team. Like, wow, I used to have that guy. I used to have that guy. I used to have that guy. Okay, I see how it is. Just picking up my trash.
Oh shit! I clicked on the wrong league for standings. So I wanted to say something, but I gotta clarify first.
All right. Well, this is the end of the line. Are we back next week? Everybody's good to go for next week.
Yeah, next. I'll be here next week.
I'll double check with the wife. I think we have the in-laws coming in this week, so I'll double check. But I should be good as long as we, do it before noon.
Yeah.
But any last words, Austin? Let's start with you. Any last words?
I really hope that it starts showing that I am the best offense because this is really freaking frustrating.
Yeah, confusingly frustrating, as the CBS Sports podcast would note. And I'm pretty funny that you guys said the same words as well. I agree with that sentiment, Austin. I feel your pain. Sean, what about you?
The road to above 500 continues.
Oh, for your baseball life league? Is it for both your leagues? Teams?
No, I'm 5-3 in the 30 team, and I just got Trey Turner. So now I have like 3 of the top 5 offensive players in the league. I already had Goldschmidt and Judge, and I've acquired Trey Turner. But just been
for who?
So that was a contentious trade. I ended up packaging Stephen Kwan, Nick Madrigal, Joey Weimer, Xavier Edwards, and Chase Petty, who was the first round right-handed prep pitcher. I know that was basically for Trey Turner and like Michael Fulmer. And then I gave up 2 picks.
That's a lot, but I think you won that trade.
Yeah, I mean it's a thing though that in the 30 team, and this is why like people like, you gave up you didn't give up a star to get back a star. In a 30 team league where everyone has 40 plus man rosters, like it's better to have 4 good guys or 5 good guys than 1 great guy, because you can have that 1 great guy and you're not going to win. Yeah. I've been there and I've done that. But the way I broke it up was, Quan, Madrigal, Edwards, those are all 70 great hit tool guys. Joey Weimer's just been insane and not getting any love. And basically this guy, it allows him, he just took over the team. It allows him to start his rebuild and kind of accelerate it, because all those guys are major league ready except Chase Petty, who is probably 3 years away.
All right. I just want to point something out in the Mardi Gras league, the head-to-head points league. Last week I would have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I would have defeated 9 teams last week. I lost by 11 points. Sorry. Oh. High scoring gunslinger shootout last week. I'm like, all right, well, 344 points. That's pretty damn good. Then this period with Bailey Ober, who was supposed to get 2 starts, injured at the last minute. I couldn't change him on time. You notice that I picked up 2 pitchers out of desperation in the baseball life league so I can replace Bailey Ober. So thank God for that our little rules there. But I lost Tyler Stevenson to the thumb injury. Brendan Donovan, I knew I should have cut him last week, but I said, no, you know what? Let's keep him for one more week. 1.5 points this week. So that was I'm not mad or anything, but
I'm not mad or anything.
And then Nate Eovaldi, he might not start his 2 starts next week. So it's still out in the open. Jury's still out. And despite all that, I'm still within striking distance of winning this game, but I might lose it according to the projections by 30 points regardless, because he has Carlos Rodon going. But if the points stay the way they are, I would have beaten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams this week. So that's the way this year has gone. Just the worst luck ever. So I'm going to go to the magic shop and give me a lucky rabbit's foot, a horseshoe, eat my lucky charms, and just stick them up on up my ass. That's the only way I'm going to win this year. Like certain people do in our baseball podcast league. Anyway, for Sean, I am Felipe. That's Austin over there. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you all next week.
Adios.